Welcome back, everyone. We're diving back into Nursery of the Gods today. Still wading through all those big ideas.
And this chapter, chapter 4, things get really interesting, like buckle up level interesting.
Because this is where we go from those big what-if questions to the actual science being done.
Exactly. We're talking psi phenomena, telekinesis, clairvoyance, the whole shebang, but through the lens of the laboratory. What did you think when you got to this part?
I was struck by how Cobbin lays out the methodologies of studying these phenomena. That's often where the skepticism comes in, people questioning if it's even possible to study this stuff scientifically.
Totally. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the experiments, let's make sure everyone's on the same page. When we say psi, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, think about those abilities often portrayed in science fiction. Telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition. Psi is the umbrella term for all of those.
Oh, right. It's a whole category, not just one thing. It's like telepathy is reading someone's mind, but clairvoyance is knowing what's happening somewhere else entirely. Exactly. And then you have things like psychokinesis, the ability to influence matter with your mind.
Whoa, hold on. We're going to get to all that. But first, something that really caught my eye was how Cobbin points out that parapsychology, the actual study of psi, is recognized by the AAAS.
The American Association for the Advancement of Science. It's a big deal.
Huge. It means this isn't just fringe science happening in someone's basement. There's legitimate scientific inquiry going on here.
And that's really the crux of this chapter. It's addressing the skepticism head-on by emphasizing that parapsychology uses the scientific method just like any other field of science.
Okay, I hear you. But I'm sure some listeners are thinking, sure, there's a method, but are there actual results? Is there real proof? What would you say to those skeptics?
That's where the concept of meta-analysis comes in.
Okay, so meta-analysis. Yeah. In a nutshell, what is that?
Think of it this way. Imagine instead of just looking at one study on, say, telepathy, you look at hundreds of them, all the research done on a topic, combined.
Wow, that's a lot of data to sift through. How does that even work?
That's what a meta-analysis does. It takes all those studies and using statistical analysis looks for significant patterns across all the data. It even factors in things like the quality of each study and potential bias to get the clearest picture possible.
So it's like getting a bird's eye view of the entire research landscape on a specific topic.
Exactly. And when you do that with psi research, some pretty compelling patterns emerge.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, Cobbin talks about those experiments where people try to guess which card will be drawn from a deck, testing for precognition, seeing the future. Individually, the results might not be too impressive. Some might even chalk it up to chance. But
When you put all that data together,
when you combine the data from hundreds of those card-guessing studies, representing millions of trials, the odds of it being random chance are astronomically small.
okay, now that's starting to sound pretty convincing. Millions in trials, that's wild. What other cool stuff did you find in this chapter?
Remember that feeling of being stared at, like someone's looking at you and you just know it.
Yeah, we've all felt that. Always creeps me out a little.
Well, get this. Cobbin talks about meta-analyses on that too. And guess what?
Did people actually turn around and pinpoint the starer with, like, superhuman accuracy?
Not quite superhuman, but across thousands of trials, participants correctly sensed being stared at 54.5% of the time, significantly above what you'd expect from random guessing.
No way. Seriously. I always thought that was just, like, a coincidence, or maybe I was just imagining things.
But the data suggests otherwise, and that's what makes this research so compelling. It's looking for those subtle but statistically significant deviations from what we'd expect in a purely material world.
So it's like this research is saying, hey, maybe some of those weird feelings and experiences we've all had, maybe they're not so weird after all.
Exactly, and it begs the question, what else might we discover if we keep investigating with an open mind?
Okay, now you've really got me hooked. Tell me more about this psychokinesis thing. The mind over matter stuff. All right, psychokinesis, mind over matter. Lay it on me. What kind of experiments are we talking about here?
Cobbin dives into the work of Robert John and his peer lab experiments.
Peer lab rings a bell, but vaguely. Refresh my memory.
John and his team basically built this giant apparatus, almost like a huge pinball machine.
Okay, giant pinball machine, I'm listening.
And they'd have these little polystyrene balls cascading down it, totally random which way they'd bounce, right? But participants would try to mentally will those balls to go a certain direction.
No way. Like Jedi mind tricks on ping pong balls.
Yeah.
Did it work? Did they become masters of the polystyrene?
Well, that's the thing. When they analyzed the data from thousands of these trials, there was a subtle but statistically significant effect.
Wait, so you're saying people were actually influencing the path of these balls with their minds?
The data suggests that something beyond pure chance was going on. Now, it wasn't like people were flinging these balls across the room with their thoughts or anything.
Okay, so no telekinetic superpowers.
But still.
A measurable effect.
Exactly. And that's what's so fascinating. These subtle yet statistically significant results, they chip away at this idea that we're just physical beings in a purely physical world.
It's like this research is hinting that there's more to us than we think. Okay, so we've got telepathy, clairvoyance, psychokinesis. Is there anything science hasn't investigated when it comes to psi?
Well, get ready to have your mind blown because Cobbin doesn't stop there. He delves into the work of Dean Radin, specifically his research on retrocausality.
Retrocausality. Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
In the simplest terms, it's the idea that the future might be able to influence the past.
Hold up. Time travel. Are we talking about time travel now?
It's not quite as simple as hopping in a DeLorean, but essentially, yes. We're talking about the possibility that our actions in the present might have some influence on events that have already happened.
How is that even possible? That completely messes with our understanding of cause and effect.
Exactly. It challenges everything we think we know about time. But Cobbin describes one experiment where participants try to influence the outcome of a random event. The catch? The event had already happened.
Wait, so they're trying to change something that's already been decided? That sounds a bit like trying to change the results of last week's lottery.
And yet some of the findings suggest a statistically significant effect, hinting at the possibility of retrocausality.
Okay, I officially need to sit down for this. This is a lot to process. Do other experiments explore this whole retrocausality idea?
Cobbin also mentions a fascinating experiment by psychologist Dick Bierman. He had this computer program generate strings of ones and zeros, completely randomly.
Okay, random numbers. I'm following so far.
But here's the wild part. After those random numbers were generated, Bierman had participants look at them and try to mentally influence the outcome.
Wait a minute. So they're looking at something that, according to our understanding of time, is already set in stone, like trying to change the final score of a game that's already been played.
Precisely. But the kicker is that Bierman found a significant correlation between the participants' intentions and those strings of numbers, even though they were generated in the past.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. This whole chapter is full of mind-blowing stuff. But if this research is as groundbreaking as it seems, why haven't I heard more about it? Why isn't everyone talking about this? Seriously, why isn't this stuff more mainstream?
Yeah.
You'd think mind over matter experiments would be front-page news.
It's a really good question, and to be honest, it's something Cobbin grapples with in this chapter too. He points out that parapsychology faces a lot of hurdles when it comes to mainstream acceptance, more so than other scientific disciplines.
Well, yeah, I get that. There's always been that woo-woo stigma around it, right? Like, it's not real science.
That's definitely part of it, yeah. But it's more nuanced than that too. There are historical and even sociological factors at play.
Like what?
For one, when you're talking about psi, you're directly challenging some deeply held assumptions about the nature of reality.
Yeah, no kidding. This whole chapter has basically turned my understanding of reality upside down.
Exactly. And challenging those long-held paradigms. Well, let's just say it's never walk in the park. Then there's the issue of replicability, which admittedly has been a challenge in some psi research.
Because these phenomena are so subtle, like how do you even begin to consistently measure something like a feeling or an intention?
Precisely. It's not like mixing chemicals in a beaker where you can control every variable. With psi, you've got all these subtle influences to consider. The experimental setup, the expectations of the participants, even environmental factors, all of these can impact the outcome.
That makes sense. But it doesn't mean the phenomena aren't real, right? Just that studying them is incredibly complex.
Exactly. And that's why the rigorous methodologies we talked about earlier, the meta-analyses, the double-blind studies, are so crucial in this field.
Because it helps weed out the flukes, the biases, and all that, right?
Exactly. By using these rigorous methods, parapsychologists are constantly working to improve the quality and reliability of their research. It's about striving for objectivity and creating a solid foundation of evidence.
It makes you appreciate the dedication of these researchers. I mean, they're tackling some seriously big questions, and they're doing it in the face of a lot of skepticism, which can't be easy.
Absolutely. They're pushing the boundaries of what we think we know and asking those what if questions, even when those questions challenge the very fabric of our reality.
And that's what I love about this field, and
Yeah.
frankly, this whole book. It's intellectually stimulating and challenges us to keep an open mind.
Couldn't agree more. It's a journey of exploration, and who knows what incredible discoveries await us just beyond the horizon of our current understanding.
Well said. So, to our listeners, if this deep dive into Chapter 4 of Nursery of the Gods has sparked your curiosity, I highly recommend you check out the book. Trust me, there's even more mind-blowing stuff in there. And in the meantime, keep asking those big questions and keep those minds open, because the answers might be closer than we think. Until next time, keep exploring.